Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here with you today to start a new week. Today, I'm going to start a week of talking about Ruth, a little book in the Bible. You'll find it right after Judges. It's one you may have heard about before. It's interesting that Ruth is the only book in the Bible that really doesn't mention the name God. However, it's a very godly book and one we can learn some good stuff from. At least I hope so. So that's the plan. I'll talk about Ruth today. I want to start with the first chapter, set the setting, and beginning with verse 3. It says here, then Elimelech, who was Naomi's husband, died, and Naomi was left with her two sons. The two sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpha, the other a woman named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both Mahan and Chilion died. This left Naomi alone, without her two sons or her husband. Let's think a minute here. You think you have problems? Well, I shouldn't laugh. We all have difficulties. Some are much bigger than others. Naomi's was huge. It was huge because in her society, when a woman's husband died, she was in trouble. She couldn't do things on her own. She couldn't really live on her own, per se. And the assumption was that a brother would take the former sister-in-law in, but there aren't any of these. She didn't have any of those. So the next best bet is for her sons, and she has two of them. So she's looking pretty well set. The sons get married, both have wives, no children, and things look like they have a chance. But then tragedy strikes again, and her two sons die. So now it's Naomi and two daughters-in-laws who don't have husbands. You see the progression here of how it seems to get worse and worse and worse. Sometimes in life, when struggles happen, um, you can't make sense of them. And as far as you know, there may not be a solution. But of course, as followers of Jesus, we know that there always is a solution. We just have to see it. So here this book starts with the tragedy of Naomi. And since her daughters-in-law are from another place, they decide to go back. In fact, she encourages them to go back because, again, according to tradition, they should marry the next son of Naomi. But she's too old to have any. So do you see here, you have a widow who has two sons who die and leave two more widows. And so you now have three widows with no way to take care of themselves, no way to live. So the only viable option in this situation is to send the two daughters-in-law back to their original families so they could take care of them. It doesn't help Naomi out a bit, but this woman has a lot of care and concern, and she at least wants to save their situation. And of course, the rest of the story, which we'll get to over the week, talks about what happens. But I want to focus here on this person, Naomi. We don't really know much about her. In fact, the book is more about Ruth, the daughter in law, than Naomi. But we know she's a strong woman. She's a strong woman because she's willing to forget about her needs to take care of the needs of her daughters in law. Now, we can learn a lot from that. So many people today are only interested in their needs and what they want. And if I don't get what I want, well, to heck with everything. And that's so opposed to everything that the gospel stands for. Now, each day you and I have the opportunity to be a Naomi. Okay, not the same level of problems, perhaps, but perhaps maybe even worse ones. I don't know. And we get to make a choice. How are we going to approach this situation? Naomi makes the best decision she can, send the daughters in law back, and then I guess she'll figure out the rest. But we know from the rest of the story, which we'll get to, that Ruth doesn't go back. And God provides a way, even though Naomi has no idea what the way is. And so I want to emphasize at this first time the notion that God is going to provide a way for Naomi and Ruth, even though they have no idea what it might be. And the same is true for you and me. God provides a way for us based on our circumstances, based on what we are dealing with, as they say. God is in charge, and he's still sitting on the throne, regardless of what it feels like. What we have to do is be strong enough to trust him. Now, I know that's a simple thing to say and a whole lot harder to do, but there's confidence here in Naomi's mind, confident that the God of Judah will somehow provide. And I hope you have that confidence today in your life. Whatever it is, big, small, in between. Look overwhelming, look kind of petty. Even if you have never ever experienced the goodness of God changing lives, your life, doesn't mean it won't happen. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Naomi begins the journey, and today I'd like you to begin the same journey, trusting God wherever you are, in whatever circumstance. Well, think about it. I'll be back tomorrow, as I said, this whole week, and we'll talk more about Ruth. If you have a concern or a need, let us know. We'll do whatever we can, as fast as we can, to help meet your need. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a really, really, really great week. And I'll talk to you again.